am going to talk about the book of Jenna Jamesons, and it's called How to Make Love Like a Porn Star. And I found a book from the library because I wanted to really read about Marilyn Manson and her. And she had like a really messed up life. Like her mom died of cancer when she was like 3. She lived with her dad, and like he was a cop from Vegas. And she became a stripper when she was 16. She was molested. Not molested, she was raped. Like, she has a memory about it. On the Howard Stern show, she was like 13. Raped by a bunch of guys. Left to almost die. And then she was raped by a guy named Jack. And he dated this girl she ended up dating after. But that Jack guy, his daughter, he molested her, and he also molested this other girl named Nikki that Jenna, like, we dated as well. But, and that was when she was 17. She was raped by him. And then she had a pretty messed up life, you know, but she did everything her way and, like, doing little she could and get as much money as she could. She started stripping right after high school, graduating, didn't even go to college. She basically had a really messed up life. She went to, after stripping, she started in, like, adult, like, spreadsheets, like, photo shoots, Susie Randall, and anyways, then she went on to 2 marriages, 2 divorces, and the book stops when after her second marriage. In the book, like, it basically barely gets into, like, Club Jenna and Club Jenna's Contract Girls and, like, Jenna's American Sex reality show. And I think they should, she should write another book and also talk about, like, her relationship with her kids and Tito and everything that happened after. And, so how she met Manson was she was at Howard Stern Private Parts premiere, and Manson did the soundtrack, so she's, like, interviewing them. Like, Billy Corgan was there, Joey Ramone, Rob Zombie, Mary Manson, Twiggy, and she writes, like, 4 pages in her book. And if you look up Jenna Jameson and Manson, you'll find pictures of them and also Twiggy together. And she also dated Nikki Sixx, kind of, like, she went out with him almost. But the first time he kept asking her out, she kept saying no. But Tommy Lee and her did date, but she didn't commit to him. It was like an open relationship. But he also went on Howard Stern and said that she was his girlfriend. She didn't like that. And she always loved Vince Neil and Nikki Sixx. And she did, like, especially, like, this photo shoot with him, not like her, for just Vince, Tommy, and Nikki. And I'm going to read the parts about what she said about Manson. It's really interesting. This was starts on page 442. There's no pictures of them together in the book, but you can find them online. But she said, I had no idea private parts which such a big movie. It made the velvet rope experience that can't seem like child's play. Stars everywhere, the popper not Rotsy knew who I was. Every news channel shoving a microphone in my face, being overwhelmed. After the red carpet, we went to a cocktail reception before the movie. I looked into the tangle of celebrity VIPs and saw, towering over it all, Marilyn Manson. I wanted to meet him, especially since I used to strip to his music. Before the thought left my mind, he was standing in front of me. Oh my god, hi, I squeaked. He just stood there staring right at me. It was creepy. Then he grabbed my hand and started walking around the party with me. Nearly every rock star on the soundtrack was there. Farrell, Billy Corgan, Flea, Angus Young, Sting, John Bon Jovi, LL Cool J, Rob Zombie, Joey Ramone. Basically everyone I idolized. I was a little corn girl dressed into the world of rock superstardom. I was in heaven. The first thing Manson asked me was how I draw my eyebrows on. He kept pumping me for makeup tips. After dragging me around the room for half an hour, he asked, do you want to be my date? I followed him to his seat. Corey Feldman was a few rows in front of us. Manson was obsessed with Corey Feldman. He kept throwing popcorn at the back of his head all night and reciting lines from Dream a Little Dream. Then he saw Amber Smith, who was a gorgeous girl, looked like a drag queen though. That night, he started throwing things at her. Everyone was a target to him, and that way he reminded me of my brother. When he got bored pelting Sherman Hemsley with food stuff, he put my hand in his. For the rest of the movie, he held my hand. We were teens on our first date. Every now and then I look over and see this tall character, long stringy hair, black lipstick, pancake makeup, with mismatched eyes, and think of how surreal the moment was. Throughout the movie, he kept making very witty comments. I couldn't believe how intelligent and thoughtful he was. When I came on screen, he cheered for me. As I became more comfortable, I put my hand on his leg. I didn't consciously mean anything sexual by it, but as soon as I touched him, he got shy and uncomfortable. It was cute, or as cute as self-proclaimed Antichrist can get. Afterward, he invited me out with him and his band. I was in a better limo. I insisted on Mercedes, so Manson and his bassist Twiggy Ramirez, who didn't say a word all night, and Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins all piled into my limo. "Watch this," Manson said. He poured a handful of different colored pills into his hand and popped it in his mouth, laughed. It was a big joke. If I had done that with that many painkillers and muscle relaxants, I would have died in half an hour. When everyone else became incapacitated, Twiggy's eyes were rolling into the back of his head, and Billy was drooling on his shirt. Manson took the opportunity to kiss me. I had a good buzz and thought, bring it on. So Manson and I made out while Joy snapped photos of us. When we got out of the limo and arrived at the party, everyone was looking at me funny. I thought it was because of the company, but I passed the mirror. I realized his black lipstick over my face, and I looked like mud. Manson didn't leave my side all night, even when he went to the bathroom, often because of cocaine he does. He asked me to wait outside the door. He didn't want to let me out of his sight. We finally found a couch. Manson threw his coat over my lap and slipped his hand into my yellow Versace dress. All I could think, how was this guy remain so focused after taking so many drugs? We were a bizarre couple. I looked like a cartoon's exaggeration of the all-American California blonde, and he was an exaggeration of the anti-American boogeyman. I was so different than most of the girls he had been with. He said so all night long. He introduced me as his beach bunny. He thought we wouldn't have been any more different between us. We represented everything that religious fundamentalists and tyrant conservatives were to stamp out in American culture. 15 minutes, we left to another party. The limo paparazzi was everywhere. The first person we saw when we made on it was Prince. Somehow Manson knew him and introduced us. Prince said hi and reached to shake my hand. I'd never been so tongue-tied in the presence of anyone else before. He was hot and beautiful like a girl. 5 steps later, we bumped into Lenny Kravitz. Then we met Sheryl Crow and the girls from TLC and Quincy Jones. I lived in a sheltered world before then, to the sex industry. I had come to believe that I was a star, especially after Cannes. But when I met all these people, I realized I was nothing. I was just a niche icon, not real celebrity. I had sex on screen. I did some perfunctory acting. These people moved and inspired millions of people with their music. All I did was contribute to Kleenex sales. There must be something more I can make of myself. When we got back to the hotel, Joy returned to our room, and I suddenly found myself alone with Manson. That's when it dawned on me we were going to have sex. I was cool with it. I was on such a high, and I liked him a lot. "Let's take a bath," he said, in a voice numb, deep, and slow from painkillers. We walked into the room. He didn't give me time to respond. He drew the bath, took off his clothes, and got in. It was strange to see him naked. He was a girlish child, massively endowed, and covered in scars in various stages of healing. I had a preconceived notion that the sex would be crazy. He was so tender and loving. He washed me from head to toe, working on my feet for a good 5 minutes. A tan line seemed like a novelty for him. Then he went down on me for nearly an hour. It took me that much time alone to even assimilate the image of the naked god of fuck eating me out in his white butt in the air. Without dropping off, we moved to the bed. He started sucking on the soft underside of my arm, which I never had anyone do. It was on a turn on, but then it didn't stop and he came out Irish. That was the only thing he did that seemed the slightest bit kinky. He asked me to get on top, so I lowered myself onto him. We had slow staring sex, but every time I came close to orgasm, he pulled me off to keep from coming himself. I would have told him, do me a favor and start thinking about baseball so I can come, but he hated sports. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. He tried to push me off with the 10 times, and my body down against it, and rolled my clit back and forth along his pelvic bone until we both came together. I collapsed onto him, and then when I got my breath back, got out of bed again, dressing to leave. "Where are you going?" "To my room. You can stay there and sleep with me if you want." "I know I should be going. I have a lot of stuff to do." "Why don't you stay and cuddle?" he asked. Cuddle? Did you just say the C word? I didn't cuddle, but I lay with him for a little while longer and listened to him talk about religion. Then I made my escape. While I was still waiting in my room. After, a man started calling me every day. When I wasn't there, he would leave me half humorous, half insane messages about wanting to set me on fire or feed me to Corey Feldman. Since my marriage to Rob was loveless and sexless, I started seeing Manson on and off. But the more I got to know him, the weirder he became. He would talk about me wanting to see girls, fuck prosthetic limbs, or sucking Twiggy's dick. I never be able to tell to what degree he was joking and to what degree he was serious. And he wanted to fuck me in the ass a little too often for my comfort. Every time we were naked, he was going my butt like a rat to cheese. I still like him to this day, but I couldn't envision him as a boyfriend. It wasn't that I was falling in or out of love with him. It was just that I was still married, and the whole strange affair was beginning to seem like a bad idea. Of course, I was discreet about the fling. However, as soon as the paparazzi photos of us hit the press, Howard Stern was on the phone asking about it. I denied the whole thing on air and told him we were just friends. But the next day, Manson was on a show, blabbing about the entire thing. I never pegged him as the kind to kiss and tell. And who knows how much of that's true or elaborated or made up, but it sure is funny. And there's proof in the pictures that they actually did meet. And so they probably did hook up. And yeah, I just think that's funny that Manson would go for someone like her. But, yeah. But anyways, it's pretty funny. And the book is pretty good, so you should read it. And it's also with Neil Strauss, and he wrote a book with Manson, Long Hard Road Out of Hell. But yeah, it's really funny, and everyone should read her book too, because I really liked it, and it's pretty funny.